Hello, this is Bill. So I got something kind of different for you. Two things. One is I got this great broccoli cheese soup, and one of the things that a lot of people don't like the stalks on the broccoli, and you can peel it with a peeler if you get fresh. So I'm going to make this with the flowerets. Using frozen because it seemed like a waste to go to the store, plus they didn't look great. And when I'm kind of coming up with these recipes, I have butter in here melting, so I have to kind of watch it. When I'm coming up with these recipes, sometimes it's kind of like gotta work through it. So I come up with the best possible option, but you notice a lot of the recipes I make aren't really large recipes unless I'm really comfortable making it, like I'm planning it for a get-together or something. Lots of times I'm making a small quantity because I don't want to waste my effort making a big, huge pot of something. So we always want the pot to be the right size of what we're making. So I'm making kind of a small pot of the broccoli cheese soup, but got a really annoying rabbit behind me. I need enough surface area, because everything's about surface area. That's why the difference between a frying pan and every other pan we have is we've got to saute some veggies to start with, and then we've got to get that frozen broccoli in there and just give kind of a little sear first. So let's get started. I have 3 tablespoons, of butter. It's really kind of annoying, but I'll be okay. And it's almost melted. Just going to give it a little help here. And believe it or not, most recipes do call for quite a bit of onion. So I have a whole onion. And this onion happened to be really big, so I didn't really use a whole onion. This is like 3/4. This is a big onion. But when you're making soup, in fact, when I worked in the restaurant, we made this broccoli soup. It was just a cream of broccoli. There was no cheese in it. And how we started was this big vat of milk, and you take whole onions and you peel the outside off, and you just let them sit in there while you kind of steep the milk to kind of set it, and the onions then would be really soft when it came out, and you just mushed it into it. Okay. Kind of turning that heat down a little too far, I think. So I got it back up. And we really want to get this soft. And the next thing we're going to put in here is garlic. And I talk about this all the time. Well, I don't want to burn the garlic, so I want to give the onion a good chance here to get started. So lots of times these recipes I'm just kind of thinking like, what do I know, what have I done, and what would I do better? And so sometimes, in fact you've probably seen if you really follow me, is I've made a couple of adjustments in recipes, and I'll usually put a little caption in there, please check the recipe, because I did make a mistake like earlier. I said 3 ounces of butter versus 3 tablespoons. Huge difference. And life happens. Or maybe after I got it all done, I'm like, that's not right. Doesn't taste right. How do I fix it? And sometimes I'll have a recipe all figured out, and I'll be missing some ingredients, like I can't get to the store. So all of a sudden I'm like switching gears. I have a recipe in my head all figured out, and I gotta go, oh crap, what am I gonna do now? Alright, so while this onion's cooking, breaking Bill's cardinal rule. I need a dash of salt, I need some fresh ground pepper, and then just putting a little bit, literally like less than 1/8 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Now you think back, I use cayenne pepper a lot. So cayenne pepper is not like this, like, oh, in your face, really like chewing on raw jalapenos or ghost peppers or something. It's just going to bring out some flavor, but we really do need the salt because broccoli is kind of like a humdrum veggie, and sometimes with veggies you really need to. But remember, we're not doing this restaurant style where we're going to put 3 tablespoons of salt in here. Pet peeve. I think they do it because they want you to drink more wine at dinner. Actually, it enhances the flavor. I understand the whole process. I just don't agree with it. Got a good roar, and onions are softened up real nice. So now I got my, can't believe I'm using like 3 small cloves of garlic. If you could use 2 large. The head of garlic I had wasn't so great, so it's not a whole lot. And I didn't have to worry about how much. I mean, I minced it up pretty good, just like I cut up the onion. But in the end, we're going to use an immersion blender to get that smoothness back into the soup. I'm only doing that because I happen to know someone that really doesn't like the texture of broccoli. So this is an experiment to see if on my 5th try I can make broccoli soup that everyone likes. Get those good little garlic. Oh, like it takes like 20 seconds, not even 10 seconds for this garlic just. Oh. And I'm keeping the heat up pretty high. Don't want to do any scorching or anything. But because I happen to have frozen broccoli flowerets, and when they freeze them, of course, because you know they want it to weigh more than if they didn't, they cover everything in water. I know it's part of the process, I get that, but there's a lot of water probably in here. So I don't want a whole lot of water. So let's get that steamed out. And these are like semi-thawed. I got them out this morning. They've probably been sitting out for an hour. They're not going to go bad, trust me, it's okay. Plus I love the effect of the ice melting, the steam coming off. I was actually talking to a good friend of mine this past week, and they were talking about how they really missed the days when we grew up together, we were kids. We always had these big, parents had these big fancy parties over the holidays. Everyone dressed up, and you know, they all drank a lot. We were too young, but it was just like a fun thing for the holidays. And so they were cleaning their house because they were going to try one of these parties. I haven't heard the result yet, but that's just, you know, it's a fun thing to do. That's something kind of lost. We don't dress up very often and to go to our neighbor's house, but I could certainly see doing that. So if there are a couple ways, if you don't have an immersion blender, you can use a regular blender. If you want to try doing it without either, what I would recommend is thawing the flowerets and just cutting them down to smaller pieces. And if you're not offended by there being real pieces of broccoli in here, but and then just make sure you cut the garlic and the onion a little finer. Okay, everything's come back to temperature, everything's thawing out here. And the good news is, I don't know if it's because I have an iron stomach, but I really haven't had to throw away anything that I've made for one of my videos. Which is pretty amazing, because sometimes I was thinking this might not work, but somehow it does. I'm going to say almost there. So if you were going to have a holiday party, would you have a big sit-down dinner? Would you do a buffet dinner, or would you just have, like, you know, drinks and little finger food? I don't know. I've done them all different ways, and I think it really depends on the crowd. Probably the biggest, most successful holiday party I ever had was just had a bunch of hors d'oeuvres, bunch of wine, bought these big huge buckets to put ice and bottles of wine in, help yourself. Okay, I know this is good. So, I need to turn the heat off. I'm going to get my 2 cups, half and half. Milk. Nothing. Amazing how cold the glass gets from that. That was really refrigerated. Really brought this all to a halt, but let's see what happens. So I'm going to take the pot, which is really hot, off from the heat. So you always make sure you're turning your burner off. I mean, sometimes I'll get a little carried away and I'll just be putting it up on the heat. I like to use my immersion blender. But that's really dangerous because, you know, if your shirt tail got on there, and it doesn't matter if it's electric or gas. Alright, so what I want to do here, get right up here. Love these silicone pads, they help hold things still. I'm going to route my electric cord away from the heat, and let's see what happens when I try to mush this up. By the way, immersion blenders can't really use for like frozen things like ice. So we want to make sure broccoli. Alright, so this is all breaking up really great, and I can't talk when I'm doing this, so I'm going to take a little break, and I just want to mix this all up and make it nice and smooth, so I'm going to be back in about a minute. Alright, so it took me about 3 minutes to get this nice, and probably in the future I would cut the broccoli up a little smaller to begin with. I was just trying to time save. You know how that goes. Alright, so let me get this in sync. And back on the heat. So we have a really smooth texture. You're going to have bubbles in the half and half, and that'll dissipate. Trust me, don't worry about it. It is a beautiful soup. So I want to get it nice and toasty. So I think a cream cheese soup like this would be great to serve with, you know, tuna, or one of my tuna or chicken salad recipes, and a pita. A grilled cheese sandwich would be really, really good. It might be a little overkill because yes, we do have cheese in here, or we will have cheese in here. Got everything nice back to a simmer. Beautiful. So what I need to do now is I have 8 ounces of grated cheese, and good luck finding 8 ounces, you know, but I don't think it's going to matter if it's 6, 7, or 8. You know, it's just the manufacturers playing games with their packaging. I did happen to find a real 8 ounce. And like I said, this is kind of my first one-off of this recipe. So I know I need the creaminess of the cheese in here. And if it's too much cheese, we'll just have to add a little more half and half to it. It's melting very quickly and very nicely. Turn it down just a little bit. By George, I think it's going to be good. Now, cheese is a good way to know how your soup is doing heat-wise. But I need to put a little more into this, so what I really want to do, grab from the freezer, freezer. I've got another tablespoon and a half of butter. I want to mix in here just to give it some richness. And when the butter melts, you know everything's done. Velvety smooth. Oh, this looks so good. Everything is melted, everything is hot. Now, I'm really holding back because, you know me, I'd probably put more black pepper in it, but I think it's good enough for most people. Alright, so now we have to see is what's it going to look like. Like I said, I wasn't sure if the quantities were going to work out right, but I think it's perfect. I think it's really dynamo. The time is now. The time is here. I would not be ashamed to serve that to anybody at any place. This is exactly what it should look like, how it should be, and I guarantee you how it should taste. So, I know this one was a little hectic, but we got through it. And you see, so that's how it works. That's how I kind of process through. First it's in my mind. Sometimes it's replaying old videotapes in there, data discs, and coming up with things I know I'm familiar with. And then how do I make it better? How do I, I've told you 1,000 times I fought immersion blenders because I just thought they were unitaskers I'd never use. And actually I've really learned to appreciate it. I'm still experimenting. But if this is the kind of food you like, tell me about it. I want you to subscribe. I want you to ring the notification bell. I want you to feel free to comment and tell me what you like, don't like. Yeah, someone actually did comment, and I was going to mention it this time, about depending on how your immersion blender's cut, sometimes you have to put it at a 30-degree angle to draw the food in and make sure you keep going around. I go clockwise, counterclockwise, make sure you go zigzag, go all around. And it's really easy to do. But anyway, thank you for that comment. I do use that. Works great. So kudos, thank you. And I want to try this soup, so I'm going to see you back for my next recipe later. Have a great day.